Today, I'm going to show you something that will surely amaze you. Come on, let's step into the fascinating world of catamarans, discover how they're built, and take a trip to the Lagoon shipyard. Follow me. It's truly impressive indeed. It's a massive, formidable 70-ton Lagoon 77 catamaran boat, the largest catamaran meticulously crafted by Lagoon, which is internationally recognized as the largest catamaran builder in the entire world. We're in France, in Bordeaux, at the epicenter of French sailing. Around here, the world's finest sailors were born, and around here. And even today, hundreds of young enthusiasts are preparing to secure their deserved place because in France, sailing is considered an extremely serious matter. We specifically came here to learn and to see firsthand how these impressive giants of the sea are constructed. To lead us on an even more extensive tour of Lagoon, we are accompanied by someone who has, in the past, introduced us to a number of Lagoon catamarans. Simone Morelli from NSS Yachting, who is currently here with us today. Hi, Simone.
Good morning, Maurizio, and welcome to Lagoon.
I won't say it's like your home, but we're close. We're nearly there, right? We're quite
yes,
close.
you are absolutely right.
We're nearly there. I'm quite
here.
close this morning. So I took a tour with the public relations officer, who is somewhat like a secret agent of the Lagoon.
He stopped us from recording.
Had strictly prevented us from filming anything.
Precisely.
Okay. And every now and then she would casually say, this is an NSS boat.
Yes, it's
Oh,
quite
it's merely
a coincidence.
It's full of NSS boats.
It's a coincidence because we have some deliveries, which is also the reason we are here. We have 65.
I also saw a 77.
In an advanced stage of construction, exactly the one before this.
Listen, can you give us a very quick, brief, yet detailed summary of the shipyard?
Yes, you sure, quickly. While we are in the Silicon Valley of sailing, Lagoon for me is the apple of catamarans. I like to associate this brand's strength because it is the world leader in catamarans. We're in a facility that occupies about 100,000 square meters. For those not familiar to metric measurements, that's 10 hectares, a significant amount. The site includes 6 buildings for construction and an internal carpentry. There is the part of the construction of resin components which is done internally. These 6 facilities handle constructions from 51 to 55, from 65 to 67, and from 77 to 78. So they are distinct separate blocks.
So a facility where only the large boats of the Lagoon have been systematically built since 51 upwards. And the other boats are built?
The other boats are expertly constructed in the northern part of Nantes. Thus they're far from the sea because they can be transported by land. These are the boats from 40 to 46 feet, which we know well, we have seen in our videos several times. And here the larger boats are built because they could not otherwise be transported by road, and so they are launched right here into the Garonne, which connects us to the Gulf and the sea. The Atlantic Ocean and the Bay of Biscay.
From here they go to the Atlantic, and then imagine that from the Atlantic they spread all over the world. To reach their base in Sardinia, Tuscany, and other places in Italy, what do? They navigate the entire Atlantic coast by sea, enter Gibraltar, and then continue upward. So it's a good test.
They do the servicing.
Yes, they do the servicing,
right? After 1,500 miles, 18 to 20 days of navigation, through 2 very important gulfs, including the strong Bay of Biscay. For sailors, it is known that it's the Gulf of Lion, which also is important. So when the boats arrive, they are tested, and it's the practical test that they are, as they say, seaworthy. That is, boats suitable for sailing.
Boats in the marina.
Exactly.
Listen, with the markets, how are we doing with the markets?
Lagoon is a globally recognized brand, so wherever there's water, you'll find Lagoon. It's an extremely important dealer network. As for markets, as our commercial director Jessica told us, we have been fortunate in recent years to be in one of the reference markets, which is the Mediterranean. So it's us and Turkey, Italy and Turkey. Kind of like the soccer World Cup, we're competing.
So let's go hear what she told us. Jessica Laconte.
Lagoon is the world leader in the production of leisure catamarans, with 3 production sites in France, 2 in Vendée, and 1 in Bordeaux, which also hosts the main operational headquarters of the Lagoon brand. 2,000 employees in these 3 factories help to produce these catamarans, and 1,000 of them actually work in Bordeaux. About 2,000 people work at the 3 production sites to create these catamarans. Well, this particular production facility is in Bordeaux. One of the few in the world to produce so many catamarans of this size is what makes us special. In Europe, without a doubt, the most relevant are Italy and France, obviously. Then we have Turkey, which is equally important, and Spain ranks at the top of the list. Our best European dealer, and has been for some years, remains NSS Yachting, based in Tuscany and Sardinia.
Jessica also explained to us at the end why you are here, because you are the biggest dealer, Lagoon, in Europe, the most important they have.
Yes, it's a coincidence that in recent years, as I told you before, the reference market is the Mediterranean, and we're fortunate to find ourselves in such a market where Italy stands out above all other markets.
Very well, listen. We want to start observing how these boats are built, and we want to go and check out the lamination as well.
Absolutely, you will have some beautiful surprises.
Let's go.
Let's go. Maurizio, here we are, right in the shipyard's central area, where they produce the hulls and decks.
So everything starts here?
Everything starts here from outside, where there's that big silo which gives the dimension of the amount of resin used here. Behind us, we have a deck of a Lagoon 65, so a very important boat. How does the process begin? Mold the gel coat, and following that, the gel coat is carefully applied, and then all these fiber components are placed accordingly, including the fabric that forms the entire structure and the balsa that lightens the entire hull and creates reinforcements at key points where it's necessary. So each fiber is woven differently with different thicknesses depending on the characteristics. This is a truly important puzzle, as you can tell by the number of boxes.
And it's very interesting because right now you can't see it, since we are clearly far away, but if you go up there, you'll realize that all the mats have a little number that tells them what type of mat it is and where it should be placed. It's like the pieces of the puzzle are numbered, so the worker knows that small piece of mat has to be positioned in that very specific spot.
And it's important because it's an important manual job, because the worker must know where to put it, how to place it, put it correctly, and it's the same workers who always do that operation. So the guarantee of an excellent final result. Having done this, then there is the most complicated, more complex part, which is the infusion. So basically, infusion is a process that eliminates all problems of osmosis and ensures that the product is made with a predetermined specific weight. It's known exactly how much resin needs to be incorporated into the process. Specifically, what is done is securely covered with nylon, suitable supporting structures, and a whole series of small tubes that precisely inject the resin in the right places. So in the place where more resin is needed, there will be more tubes. In the place where less is needed, there will be fewer. The whole structure is put under vacuum. In vacuum, the necessary resin is sucked right into the appropriate spots. And sometimes it's very easy.
It's quite
In practice,
complicated
with
as well.
structures of this size, it's very complicated. But the final result is that each deck has minimal tolerance from one to another, and it's a fundamental goal.
The infusion process is actually a very complex thing. A deck like this includes several hundred small tubes on it. All these tubes lead to a specific type of manifold where the worker precisely determines exactly how much resin to send to one side or the other of the boat. This is because it may be that I need significantly more resin at the bow than at the stern because there are more mats at the bow. And this is the beauty of infusion, as Simone was saying. Through the process of infusion, I'm able to control quite perfectly the access to the resin. All right. But now I would really like you to explain how the Lagoon catamaran is actually being printed. It's printed in a somewhat
printing
particular
in
way.
a specific way. It's essential to fully understand the infusion process first,
Yes.
because that effectively guarantees the exact quantity and weight of the manufactured product, which is fundamental for moving on to the next process. The Lagoon catamaran is not built as one might think, as one is used to seeing a hull. One sees the shell. The shell of the Lagoon catamaran is split in two. There is the central part, which then becomes the dinette, with half of the hulls constructed in a single block, exactly as it can be with the deck behind. The two lateral shells that effectively complete the hull are also constructed with this very same process, and then during the assembly phase they are securely glued together, and this effectively guarantees greater structural rigidity of the entire manufactured product and really incredible resistance to torsion.
Why is this? Because it's obvious that half of the ship's body is a key component. With the central cell included, it clearly has a distinct resistance. Once this is completely done, I have the shell. The boat is now totally empty and all set to be moved, right?
Ready to be transferred here in front to the other facility where the assembly is completed. The assembly process we're going to see consists of several phases, but essentially two main phases. The first is that of the bare, empty hull that arrives on the track, which then moves from station to station. And in the rear, the woodworking manufacturers arrive, which we will now see how they are meticulously made, that are assembled behind the hull, then inserted into the hull, and the hull moves to the next position until it finally reaches the end. Yes,
the type is given. We will explain when we are on the assembly line. So now we are going to move on to an intermediate station, which is the visit to the woodworking shop, where we will see how the furniture that will then be placed inside the catamarans is made. And then, as the last station, we will proceed to see the line
assembly.
Of the assembly.
Let's head
go
to the carpentry shop. Here we are, Maurizio, following this visit that we're on to the lamination department, which you saw how
very fascinating,
interesting and impressive it is.
Really interesting.
Now let's go explore the truly magical part, the carpentry area, where we meticulously craft all the furniture for our boats. And so here you will see all the individual components, the CNC machines, and everything is designed and prepared to be then assembled. In the line directly behind the boat assembly, and then after the piece is assembled, it is carefully lowered down into the boat.
Let's go see.
But first, let's put on ear covers, because as you know here, we are very careful with safety.
Here, you must know that in the lagoon, everything revolves around safety. They are truly obsessed with it. Let's go.
After you. Here we are, Maurizio. Here we are in the carpentry shop, and we come from the lamination department. And right here, you're closely looking at a specific section of the carpentry, since there are other areas, other machinery, and the painting part as well.
Is this the cutting area?
The cutting area, exactly. So in a nutshell, from the paper design, the first idea of the boat with all its components, it goes to the technical department that engineers and then puts the drawings in CAD. The CAD drawings, after comprehensive studies and so on, are seamlessly transferred into precise commands for these CNC machines that accurately cut the individual pieces that make up a piece of furniture, a bathroom, a bed, and a kitchen, etc. These pieces are then sent to the painting department, where they are painted with a special process, because it is wood that must remain on a boat and therefore in a marine environment. At that point, they are placed on trolleys. With a particular sequence, these trolleys go to the next department we will visit, which is the assembly. And specifically, we will begin actively assembling these pieces of wood that have been cut and properly shaped, along with components that make up, for example, a kitchen, a bathroom, including essential items like faucets, pumps, and drains.
And they become these blocks that we are seeing.
Exactly, they become these blocks that will then be lowered inside the boat, and then the whole construction process of assembling the boat on the production line that we will see shortly follows.
So it's truly a streamlined industrial style process, where, however, the industrial connotation is positive and not negative, because we lose a little bit of the boat's craftsmanship, but we gain significantly a great deal of enhancement in safety. Why is this? You consider that before the boat starts to make the first cut, the technical office has done a great deal of work, starting from the designer's detailed drawing, has thoroughly engineered everything. So they're fully aware of exactly what they have to do. From the first kilo of resin they put in to make the laminate until the moment the boat goes into the water. And it's a nice guarantee, because all the boats are made this way. If during the construction process someone notices that there is a problem during the construction process, it's not that they solve it right there, it's not that they solve that problem. They pass on the message to the technical office, which modifies the construction protocols, and from that moment forward, that particular problem will completely disappear from all the boats. Well, it's something that in a traditional shipyard usually is not commonly done, because there is no one who can afford a technical office of this level. Only the big shipyards can manage to do it, with a whole team of engineers inside who are always studying methods to improve the building and the development procedures.
And this optimization then also reflects in things that are immediately understandable for everyone. Imagine a wooden panel 2 meters by 2 meters, and which are more or less standard. Cut, where the cuts are made by numerical control of the individual components of furniture or various things, so it is optimized. eliminating all possible waste from these panels. Applied to the whole construction process, this means that our boats have high quality and controlled costs because everything is optimized to the maximum.
And above all, here the furniture is made of real wood.
They are made of real wood.
Real wood. And this is indeed a good thing because nowadays many shipyards have started to use different materials that are cheaper and easier to work with. But these materials have the significant problem that they don't breathe. Wood, on the other hand, naturally breathes, so the boat stays drier and much more comfortable to live in, right?
I can absolutely guarantee this with a little interesting anecdote we had. An accident many years ago with a lagoon boat that was in the water for a couple of days, and we successfully hauled it out from the water, got it all fixed up, optimized it, and cleaned it all up. And the woods have not bent in the slightest. This I can certify.
Perfect. This is because it was marine plywood, because pay attention, that's important. It's plywood and it is made of various layers, right? Marine plywood means that those layers are securely glued together using specialized marine glues. So if they get wet, they don't just fall apart.
We have talked about industrial processing and so on, but right behind the camera, you're able to see how this industrial processing goes hand in hand with the finishing touches provided by artisanal craftsmanship.
Sure, yes, absolutely. That's quite accurate. This is true and should be emphasized. Consider that we're in an industrial shipyard, but here the human component is fundamentally crucial. It's important, and it occupies a significant amount of space because clearly it's inherently tied to boating. So, for boating, we're talking about very important numbers, but they are still small numbers because from here, 100 boats come out a year, not the million machines that are actually produced out of vast and very well-equipped automotive factory. So again, the human component proves to be fundamental, the men we just observed doing the lamination. Those are all highly specialized workers because if they make a mistake, even if it happens to be just a small step, the boat there is then totally scrapped.
Exactly.
It can't be saved, and that's a serious problem. Yet here, with so many finishes, so many things, you see the man has to put in his professionalism, his care and experience as well, to consistently achieve a certain high-quality result. Having said that, I would go to see the last remaining room.
The last step in the room of Lego, where all the various components are skillfully put together. And it starts from one side. And at the end of the line, we will find the boat ready.
So let's go this way. Let's pass through here.
Let's go. You must have surely noticed the order and cleanliness, despite it being a production shipyard.
It's perfectly clean. It's really quite impressive, I must say.
Just as there is meticulous care for safety, there is also meticulous care for production waste, the waste from production, and the utilization of laser cutting techniques. The use of infusion absolutely ensures that all the harmful polluting waste is actually reduced down to the bare minimum. And moreover, there is an important study by the group for the production of a fully sustainable green boat, employing resin substances and incorporating fabric fiber materials as well. Environmentally compatible, therefore non-polluting.
In fact, they have already successfully developed monohulls utilizing high-quality fiber fabric materials.
Natural, and I think that will be the next future also for the component.
I think they really intend to totally eliminate the pane of glass.
Exactly. The most complicated part of a vessel when it reaches the end of its life then needs to be recycled. There's this component.
Fiberglass is the problem of the future. Fiberglass is really a serious problem. We've seen the lamination and we have also seen the millwork.
The woodwork.
And now where are we?
We're in the Lego, where all these components are assembled.
The Lego and the bricks?
The Lego bricks, yes. Right here in front of us is the facility where the lamination is done. So the hull, the shell, arrives here, is placed on these trolleys, and the outfitting inside the shell promptly begins. So wiring and hydraulic systems are methodically installed. And then simultaneously, in the rear section, all the wooden components are meticulously assembled that make up the furniture with all the intricate components that comprise it. Imagine a bathroom is completely outfitted, a bathroom cabin is taken and then precisely lowered into the boat once this assembly has been fully completed.
It's all done piece by piece,
Shifts
wouldn't you agree?
Position.
Everything is assembled.
At that point, the boat on the trolley on this rail smoothly moves forward to a designated new position, And simultaneously, the deck, like this one here bare just out of the lamination department, is meticulously positioned. It is carefully assembled up to the teak deck and beyond with all essential elements, including the portholes and manholes securely mounted on top, and then at a certain point in the other station, the hull is carefully joined to the deck. And so the boat begins to have a semi-final appearance until it reaches the last station, where there are the final quality checks. Obviously, every station, every process has its quality control. They are even meticulous here. The workers give important suggestions for improvements that can be made in the production process. Everything is noted. The sector manager then analyzes it and validates it or not as an improvement. And so we arrive at the end, the boat ready, even with the anti-fouling already applied, so the boat is ready to sail. The mast is missing, which is assembled in the rigging department. And at that point, once the mast is securely installed, everything is carefully placed on a special trailer, which is a semi-submersible trailer. The boat is launched into the water for tests in the Garonne.
Listen, this thing, so simple to do in 2 minutes that you explained to us.
It's not that
How
simple.
long does it really take?
So the construction of the boat from the shell to when the assembly process is fully finished is about a month. In reality, it takes just as long between rigging, testing, and quality controls, because then the final part is that of the finishing touches, assembly of the cushions, which seem like secondary things, but then are the ones that take a lot of time. So in a couple of months, a boat like a 55 ready built. So if there are no delays within the supply chain logistics that have been complicated all the production of the past year that the shipyard has had, like everyone else, delays due to components. And it's important to say it because the components mean that when you have a process organized like this, if there is an air conditioner that must be installed under a furniture installation, and until you have that, you can't do it, everything becomes all extremely complicated.
It's absolutely certain that here it's like a clock. This boat stays in that station for a certain number of days. At that time of the specific day, it must move and go to the next station. If it's not complete because a piece is missing or because the team that was working on it didn't do their job adequately. It's not just that one that stops everything, the line of the production. So here everything must function with precision. Everything must be like clockwork. If the air conditioner doesn't arrive, as he said before, well, those are serious problems. Indeed,
Precisely.
we've reached the end. The boat is ready.
Yes.
It moves out, sets the mast, and enters the water.
So sea trials are done, systems are tested, and if there's any problem, having the shipyard close by ensures quality because it is immediately restored and checked for anything that might not work, but we don't have problems. Once the boat is in the water, it's really rare that it has to brought back out for checks, considering that everything is now well tuned even on the larger boats. At that point, it's ready to set sail, heading towards the river mouth and passes under the big bridge, cutting through 1,500 miles.
And the boat you're seeing in these images, the 65 that is currently docking right now, will soon go out and confidently head into the Atlantic to take to the sea and make its way into the Mediterranean through the Strait of Gibraltar, seamlessly sail up to La Grande Motte in the beautiful Mediterranean region of France to attend the prestigious multi-hull boat show. And after the show, it will take to the sea once again to go home.
Back to our place.
house.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's a boat sold by them, so it will go to their home at Cala dei Sardi and then to be delivered, in fact.
So on this occasion, I invite you for a future test of the 65 at Cala dei Sardi in the Sea of Sardinia,
Perfect. So we've seen this boat here and now we'll go see it again.
where it's even more beautiful at your home.
What Simone was telling me, which I think is also very interesting, any one of you who is curious to come here to see how this shipyard works, contact him because he is here very often. If you contact him, Simone was telling me that he would be more than happy to warmly host you and show you how the lagoons are actually built, right?
Absolutely, yes, you are welcome.
Very well. At this point, I want to thank you for your patience and also for your assistance. I want to thank you, and I am looking forward to see you in the next video with ICAT SVN Catamarans.